Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Arnie Diaz Show. Today, live movie news reaction. Uh, just three things we're going to talk about today. First and foremost, there is some news out of Variety that The Rock really did try to take over DC. Also, Jeremy Renner sustained injuries from an accident that he had a few days ago. And then finally, Avatar doing really well. That more on the Arnie Diaz Show. Let's start the show. I think obviously one of the biggest news stories of last year is just DC in general. A lot of stuff happened with the Marvel. A lot of stuff happened with Warner Brothers, and a lot of stuff happened with DC. Um, and I think that whole news story about Warner Brothers and DC is a kind of microcosm for a lot of the things that happened in the streaming world during the pandemic. Um, I'm going to read you a quick article from Variety, a couple clips from Variety, because it details certain things that Dwayne The Rock Johnson wanted to do with the DC universe that it kind of rubbed a lot of DC and Warner Brothers executives the really wrong way. And it's also kind of a microcosm. This whole story is kind of a microcosm of a lot of stuff that happened with DC. All right, so from Variety, I will put it up here. All right, so from Variety, the title of the article is Secret Meetings, Tequila, Black Adam versus Superman, How Dwayne Johnson Bid for DC Power Flamed Out. So quote from the article. I like this piece of the article because it really does details all of the things that just happened with Warner Brothers and DC in the last year that just kind of made everything go south. So, quote from Variety, aimed the upheaval release plan for the upcoming Flash, tainted following the series of arrests and meltdowns involving its star Ezra Miller, closely guarded Aquaman deal points were laid bare in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial, and the $78 million Batgirl movie was permanently shelved in post-production as a write-down. All of that was just an appetizer for an executive shakeup that landed James Gunn and Peter Safran in the DC's driver's seat, but perhaps nothing was dramatic as Henry Cavill returning briefly as Superman in Black Adam cameo in October, only to lose the gig 2 months later. Now, the article does go on to state that it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson who was instrumental in trying to get Henry Cavill back as Superman. So, if you didn't know this, DC and Warner Brothers had actually decided in 2008 to hire a brand new Superman. Henry Cavill knew this. All the executives knew this at DC. So, it was pretty much set that Henry Cavill was done as Superman. But as the article details a little further, quote, Dwayne Johnson directly pitched CEO of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, on a multi-year plan for Black Adam and Cavill-led Superman in which the two properties would intertwine, setting up a Superman versus Black Adam showdown, sources say. So essentially, the The Rock, in his ultimate power, like he thought that he had the power in Hollywood to change, to like move the ship for all of DC. And apparently he pitched this idea directly to Zaslav, who Zaslav was the CEO of Warner Brothers at the time. He actually like skipped over people in the chain and rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, directly pitching to Zaslav, because that's not the way you usually do things in Hollywood. You usually do things to producers and people who are a little further down the chain. You don't usually directly pitch to a CEO. But Dwayne The Rock Johnson can definitely get meetings with a lot of people, and that's what happened. He got himself a meeting with the head of DC, the head of Marvel, head of Warner Brothers, to literally try to get Superman involved in these movies. It looks like he tried to do like a multi-year like Endgame event with like him and Superman going at it. I think that would have been really cool Now, I definitely liked Black Adam. I definitely think it had a lot of problems, for sure. I had a lot of fun with it, but it really did kind of feel like it was a slap together mess. It's one of the reasons I didn't review it. It was just really bad. I did have a lot of fun, and I do think that uh, The Rock did a good job. There was a lot about his performance that I liked, but the overall script I think was just left a little bit bare, and it was kind of just folly for all of the action beats. It's just nothing really mattered, and there really weren't a lot of stakes, which is why I didn't really care for it too much. But I mean, they made the movie, and it was kind of a success, but not really. It made almost $400 million, but it kind of tanked because of how much it cost to make the movie. Um, for comparison, Shazam actually made $300 million, but is considered a critical and commercial success because he only used about $100 million to make that movie, right? So it actually made its money back plus some profit. Black Adam cost way more to not make its money back, so it was a complete and utter failure. Complete. Uh, a few more tidbits from the article, which kind of show you the prowess of The Rock and kind of like the fact that he seems to be the head of some sort of mob family in Hollywood. Quote again: Black Adam producers Hiram Garcia, who is Johnson's former brother-in-law. And also in the article, it details that Henry Cavill ex-manager was actually The Rock's ex-wife, who he's partnered with on several business ventures, including the XFL. And apparently she represented Henry Cavill for a minute there. And also, something interesting about this article also details the fact that it looks like Warner Brothers might be okay with keeping Ezra Miller, which kind of points to the fact that the Flash movie probably really good. So good to the point they don't want to lose him. Quote from the article: given that Miller has stayed out of trouble since beginning mental health treatment in the summer, some executives are amiable to continuing with the actor as a world-saving speedster after the Flash. This is wild. Um, I can see why The Rock wanted to do this, right? He wanted to get Henry Cavill back in there because Superman is like the biggest superhero in the DC universe, and he just wanted those two juggernauts together, right? He wanted his Black Adam character to go against Superman. I get that. So you wanted a big tentpole movie with he wanted his big tentpole movie with the biggest superhero in the world. I totally get that. It is just gnarly how much it's funny how much The Rock just totally bossed a little too close to the sun, because he really tried to shove his power as much as possible to push DC to do some crazy things. I don't like. I really. It's interesting how he just felt the need, he just had that ability to just push things the way he wanted things to be. And it's just crazy the amount of things that went wrong with DC. It's crazy. I mean, at the beginning of the article, it just goes straight to the list. You got the Ezra Miller situation, which is wild. It's just absolutely wild. They had the fact that Aquaman literally had to change part of the movie because of the Amber Heard situation. That's wild. The fact that they didn't just shelve, the Batgirl movie was not just canceled, it was completely shot, filmed in post production, and then completely shelved so that they can get back the insurance money for a failed movie. And because of that, they cannot show a single frame of that picture. That movie is gone. Gone. They're going to be in trouble with their insurance companies if they ever release that movie now. Is wild. But now we have what I think is the best outcome of this. James Gunn is in charge of DC. I think that James Gunn is an incredible storyteller. He knows how to combine comedy, action, and heart and character in his movies in a beautiful symphony of story and visual mastery and comedic gold. I think that he is the right person for the job. I didn't even think of him being up for the job, but when I heard that he got it, I was like, all for it. Hell yeah. I love the fact that he's there. And I love the fact that not only is he there to essentially right the ship, but he's there to guide the entire thing. And I've also heard that apparently he's actually writing a brand new Superman movie, but a Superman movie from when he was a younger person, from when he was a younger man. So a completely new Superman movie written by James Gunn, I think, is going to be fucking incredible. And I hope that whatever ideas that they come up with for the DC universe, I think are at the very least going to be coherent and not going to be the crazy, outlandish, just like no direction whatsoever Snyderverse. So we'll see what happens, man. It's wild that The Rock thought he could do all this, but he definitely failed. This is probably the biggest failure of The Rock, and it's not even close. All right, so next thing I want to talk about is not exactly movie news, but it is notable because it involves a movie star, and the crazy thing about this is that it just happened and that he's completely okay. But according to several sources around the world, Jeremy Renner sustained multiple injuries after a snowplow accident. So this is reporting from Variety. Quote, based on our investigations, Mr. Renner's personal vehicle, which was being driven by a family member, had become stuck in snow near his home. Sheriffs said during a press conference, Mr. Renner went to retrieve his snowcat, an extremely large piece of snow removal equipment weighing at least 14,000 pounds, in an effort to get his vehicle moving. After successfully towing his personal vehicle from its stuck location, Mr. Renner got out of his snowcat to speak to his family member. At this point, it was observed that the snowcat started to roll. In an effort to stop the rolling snowcat, Mr. Renner attempts to get back in the driver's seat. And based on our investigation, at this point, Mr. Renner was ran over by the snowcat. An eyewitness detailed seeing Mr. Renner getting into the snowcat and not seeing him until the snowcat came to rest on a pile of snow in front of his driveway. Oh my God. Apparently, he had 2 surgeries because of blunt trauma to his chest. He did release a statement on Instagram yesterday with a selfie of him in the hospital. I didn't want to show that picture. It's just not right to me. He is okay and in stable condition and apparently conscious. So the best to Jeremy Renner for trying to save his family. Now, if you don't know what a snowcat is, it's this thing. This 14,000 pound piece of equipment ran over him. I don't know how he would have been able to get in. It looks like you actually have to step on the rolling track to get in this thing. But he's okay. He's good. It's wild that these kinds of things happen. And man, if you guys have snowcats, make sure to put that thing in park. Put the parking brake on, man. Well, he's okay. Thoughts and prayers for Jeremy Renner. Absolutely. Last thing that I wanted to talk about this lovely morning. Avatar has now crossed $1.4 billion. This article comes from Deadline, and just a couple things about this milestone about Avatar. Quote, The Way of Water has grossed $1.4 billion globally through Monday. Of that, international box office is actually $997 million, which, as we previously noted below, means the 20th Century Studios / Disney Studios, because Disney now owns Fox Studios, will top the $1 billion overseas with today's gross included. So this movie has made $1 billion not in America. Way of Water has been in worldwide release for 20 days and now stands as the 13th highest global movie of all time, passing Avengers Age of Ultron. The 20th century / Disney title is now 15th biggest movie of all time globally, overtaking Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This baby's got legs. I saw Avatar. I enjoyed it a lot. I know a lot of people did too. It's looking like James Cameron does have that Midas touch, and it's looking like Avatar will cross the $2 billion mark. I wouldn't bet against it, but I wouldn't say that it's going to hit it, but you can't say that it might not. It might, man. It really might. I don't know how he does it. It looks like what James Cameron really has is like really good global appeal. And I'd imagine that's by design. So it's looking like we might be getting another Avatar based on the fact that this box office of this new one is doing pretty darn good. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I am Arnie Diaz. Please, if you have any other news stories that you'd like me to touch on, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll do my best to try to get back to everybody who comments and reply to you. Thank you so much for watching this far down the video. I am going to be doing a review of the menu, hopefully coming out tomorrow, if not by Saturday. All right. Thank you so much. Have a